Radio 1200 WOAI.
36 degrees.
Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. And I say, it's all right.
Louise Harrison is the sister of Beatle George Harrison. Louise Harrison's Liverpool Legends coming to the Majestic Theater March 1st in San Antonio. She joins us live now on San Antonio's First News. First of all, Louise, thanks for taking the time to visit with us.
Well, it's my great pleasure.
Of all the interviews you have done over the course of your lifetime, how many times has the interviewer, the person talking to you, told you that they were the biggest Beatles fan ever? Couple of thousand?
Not just the interviewers, but just about everybody I meet.
Well, add one more to the list, because that would be
okay.
me. Before
it's a good choice, too, because it was my favorite as well.
Before we talk about the Liverpool Legends and coming to the Majestic Theater, of course, we had the big weekend, 50th anniversary of the Beatles arriving in America. Would it be safe to say that had it not been for you, George's sister, that maybe the appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show doesn't take place? Because George and John had wives and girlfriends. Ringo was out running the streets. Meanwhile, George is sick, and you're the one who nursed him back to health.
Well, you've got a little bit of that inaccurate. John was the only one who had a wife there with him. There were no other women except me. So the bit about the girlfriends, Ringo wasn't running around the streets. He was doing exactly what everybody else had to do, and that was mostly interviews and sound checks and all of that kind of stuff. So it wasn't quite what you said.
All right, well, anyway, so all that stuff that we've been told was inaccurate.
Well, most of what you hear about the Beatles is inaccurate, you know. But that's why people have been begging me for years to write a book. But anyway, down to the question that you really asked was, I was pulled in by the hotel doctor to, to stay with George and look after him. I was actually in a different room, but they moved him in with George. And he was desperately ill. He had 104-degree temperature. And his throat was, just a strep throat that he could hardly talk with. So, it was pretty dire. And the doctor really wanted to put him into hospital. And Brian Epstein just about had a heart attack on the spot. He said, no, we can't let anybody know there's anything wrong, So, anyway, it was, pretty touch and go there as far as whether he could, able to stand up. And people have often asked me, wasn't it exciting at the show? And I said, no, I was too busy concentrating on hoping that my brother would be able to stay on his feet. So I didn't really get much excitement out of it. And, another of the things, too, I'd been working so hard all that year, 63, to try to get airplay for them and all that kind of stuff. And then when I saw, here they finally come and it's their big moment, and everybody's, sort of treating him like he was just a product. And that kind of bothered me a bit, that this whole thing about fame and glory and everything just became very hollow to me at that moment.
And the rest, of course, we know is history, and as a part of history, there has been band after band replicas of the Beatles, and I have seen them all, and I know from experience that Louise Harrison's Liverpool Legends are the best of the best. Can you tell me quickly how that process, because you handpicked the actors and the musicians, can you tell me quickly how that process worked and how difficult it may have been?
Well, actually, it wasn't really difficult because I think worldwide there's about 400 Beatle bands. And, the word does get around about which ones have a good Ringo or a good George or whatever, And I happen to have met the guy that plays George, who was about the best George that I'd met, and also the guy that plays John in the band. The two of them had been together since they were teenagers and, had really, honed their craft. And so they were excellent. And so it wasn't too difficult of a matter to be able to come up with, a good Ringo and a good Paul. So, but the most important thing to me was, I wanted them to look as much like the Beatles as possible, for the illusion, and also to sound as much like them as possible. But the most important thing for me was I wanted to find the kind of guys who, in person, were the kind of people that George would have liked to hang out with. And, he had some very, very fine people amongst his friends. And I think we succeeded in getting, really fine individuals, because wherever we go, and especially when we have been living in Branson for a number of years, all of the people in the town, they say that whenever they see me, they say, what a great bunch of guys you have. They're always so kind and courteous and, respectful when they meet people, and jolly and fun and all of that kind of thing. So I think we succeeded. And as far as the sound goes, too, I actually was taken to task one night by a lady who was rushing out of the theater, all, very, very angry. And at the beginning of the show, we have a videotape where I tell people, the story of the Beatles as it goes through. And at the very beginning, I say, everything you see and hear tonight is, or everything you hear tonight is, live. There are no dubs and no, voiceovers or anything like that. It's all real and live. And this lady was so angry. She came out to me and she said, "You lied about that." And she said, "I listen to Beatle music every day." She said, "And you're playing Beatle records." So after that, I said to the guys, maybe you ought to throw in a steak every once in a while, so people will know it's really you.
Probably an unfair question. I have less than 60 seconds here. I need you to tell me in less than a minute what we will see at the Majestic Theater March 1st.
Okay. Well, you'll see a very, very excellent show. We go through the whole history of the Beatles from the beginning to the end. And the guys we have, I think, 4 or 5 costume changes. The most important thing is that all of the people who go there, if they're in their 50s, 60s, 70s, they're going to go bouncing out of there 16 years old again.
What is Louise Harrison's favorite Beatles song?
All of them.
Oh, great answer. Great answer. Louise, thank you very much for taking the time to visit with us. Liverpool Legends at the Majestic Theater March 1st.
This report brought to you by